Welcome back to another deep dive. Today, we're tackling something most of us have experienced but maybe haven't fully understood: security at big events. We're talking prohibited objects and crowd risks. What gets confiscated and why? You know that feeling, right? You're in the queue for a concert, maybe a festival, big game. You hand over your bag and you're kind of wondering, what are they actually looking for? And why is that, I don't know, that bottle of water suddenly a big deal? It can feel a bit random sometimes. But there's actually a really serious method behind it all. And understanding it, well, it helps make sense of things, and it's key for keeping everyone safe and making sure events run smoothly. For this deep dive, we've got some great sources lined up. We're looking at an official prohibited items list from the Azerbaijan Grand Prix, some really detailed crowd management risk assessment info from Envisage Security staff, safety tips via ProFM Group, and a breakdown of procedures from Blackbird Security. So these aren't just guesses, this is standard practice stuff. Okay, so let's unpack this a bit. Let's start with the items themselves. What kind of things are security guards typically confiscating, and what's the main thinking behind it? I mean, obviously weapons, that's clear. But like you read in that Blackbird security piece, even something like a sealed disposable water bottle can be flagged. Why? That seems so harmless.
Yeah, that's a great starting point because it really gets to the heart of it. The main principle, like Blackbird Security lays out, is actually pretty straightforward, but has big implications. Basically, items get taken if they could be used as a weapon or if they might cause an accident or injury. Simple as that, really. And that water bottle, well, think about it. Once it's full, even sealed, it's got weight, throw it hard in a packed space. It can genuinely hurt someone, maybe a performer, staff, or someone else in the crowd. It's less about the water itself and more about, the physics of it in that environment.
Ah, okay, so it's not just what the item is normally, but what it could become or the risk it poses when you mix it with thousands of excited people in one place. That's a different way of looking at it.
It's about anticipating potential problems. Pro FM Group mentions the usual suspects: alcohol, weapons, glass, flammables. Makes sense. But if you dig into a specific list, like that Azerbaijan GP one, wow, the detail really shows this predictive safety approach. For instance, they ban bottles, cans, beverage containers of any kind, except for baby use and small thermoses. Now, that's partly about controlling what drinks come in, sure, but mainly it's about stopping projectiles and also preventing unknown substances, maybe spiked drinks, getting into the venue. That's a huge health and safety risk right there.
Okay, that makes more sense. But some things on that list still seem surprising, like loud hailers, sound amplifying devices, musical instruments, air horns. I get they'd be annoying, definitely, but a safety risk.
Right, they seem more like a nuisance, don't they? But imagine a really dense crowd, a sudden, super loud blast from an air horn. It could easily cause a sudden surge, maybe even panic, just from the shock. It's about managing the overall environment and stopping things that could escalate unexpectedly. Then you've got things like cameras with the lens exceeding 30 centimeters. Okay, part of that is often about professional recording rights. But also, picture a big camera rig like that in a tight spot. It's an obstruction. People could trip. It could block an emergency path. And chairs schools, immediate trip hazards. They eat up valuable space, especially in exit routes. And yeah, absolutely, if things get heated, they could be thrown.
It sounds like a huge part of it is just managing space and movement, then, keeping things flowing, like the rules against big bags or coolers or anything that won't fit under a seat.
Precisely. That's all about clear pathways, making sure people can move easily, and also reducing places where someone could hide something more dangerous.
Hmm.
It's just impractical to search every single pocket of a huge backpack. Even umbrellas. Seems crazy on a rainy day, right? But the block views badly take up way too much room when it's packed, and honestly, that pointy end, it could cause injury, accidentally or not, if things get chaotic. And then there's a really crucial one: provocative symbols, offensive banners, flags on long poles, political slogans. That's not just about preventing offense, though that's part of it. It's primarily about stopping conflicts from kicking off between different groups in the crowd. That can turn into a serious safety issue, fast. So yeah, the takeaway is security isn't just looking for obvious dangers. They're trained to think about the unintended consequences of everyday items in that specific high-energy setting. Every single rule, even the ones that seem minor, ties back to safety, crowd flow, or the overall experience.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me, because clearly it's not just about the objects, it's massively about managing the crowd itself. Pro FM Group talks about comprehensive planning risk assessments, crowd management strategies, even CCTV and metal detectors. How do all these different security layers actually work together? Especially when you're talking huge numbers of people, how do they identify and, well, head off potential crowd problems?
Yeah, it's fascinating how it all interconnects. to create, hopefully, a safe space that feels pretty seamless to you as an attendee. Invisit security staff really drives home that event organizers have a legal, and you could say moral, duty to figure out potential harms before they happen and manage those large groups effectively. It starts way back with understanding basic crowd dynamics. They actually think about and sometimes simulate scenarios. What happens if there's a surge towards the stage? Or swaying in a packed area that could lead to crushing? Or even people falling and getting trampled. It's grim, but they have to plan for it. It's not just stopping bad behavior like climbing on things, but anticipating how crowds naturally move and mitigating the risks involved in that.
So they're almost trying to predict physics and psychology on a massive scale, not just hoping everyone plays nice. That sounds incredibly complex.
It is. And that thinking extends to looking really hard at the venue itself or the event activities. They consider everything, like are people and vehicles going to be mixing? How close is the audience to, say, a racetrack where debris could fly? Are temporary structures like stages or viewing platforms completely sound? Even things you might not notice, the ground uneven. Are there purely lit spots where someone could trip? Are there enough clear entrances and exits? A single trip in a dense crowd can trigger like a domino effect. It can be really dangerous. They even analyze where food stalls or merch stands are placed. Could they block movement? Could the site layout accidentally create points where crowds moving in different directions clash? Those bottlenecks are a major hazard.
Wow. The level of detail in just designing the space before anyone even gets there is immense. And I guess getting the expected numbers right is totally critical for all of that planning.
Absolutely fundamental. Crowd size affects everything. How many entry lanes you need, security staffing, medical teams, even how many toilets you need. It's all scaled. So how do they forecast? They look at past events, pre-registrations, ticket sales, obviously. They look at how much buzz there is, who's performing, but also, practical stuff. Is it a Friday night or a Sunday morning? Are there other big things happening nearby? And then the variables, weather forecast, local economy affecting spending, transport links, public holidays. It all feeds in.
That is a staggering amount of data to juggle. And the venue itself, does its design play a role beyond just how many people it can hold?
A huge role. Doesn't matter if it's a stadium or a field for a festival. Is it suitable? Can people gather safely, get in easily, move around inside without crushing, get out quickly? And crucially, can it be evacuated fast if, God forbid, something goes wrong? For outdoor events, they get really granular with zoning, clear arrival points, exit points, designated viewing areas, making sure there's enough buffer space around stages or stalls. It's all about managing flow and preventing dangerous congestion. It's like event architecture that attendees probably never even notice.
Yeah.
But it's all designed to guide movement safely.
And what about predicting behavior? You mentioned that earlier. Do they really try to anticipate how thousands of individuals are going to act? Sounds almost like mind reading.
Well, not quite mind reading, but definitely sophisticated prediction based on experience and data. Yes. They anticipate common issues, like people parking illegally near exits, blocking emergency access, or crowds bunching up right at the entrance or exit, slowing everything down. They even think about things like, what happens if a main act starts on a surprise stage and half the crowd suddenly tries to move across the site at once? Or people gathering where they shouldn't and refusing to move. The audience profile matters too. Are they familiar with the venue? What's the general age group? Is it a mellow event or high energy? How might alcohol affect things? They even consider how poor management, like massive queues or obvious overcrowding, might make people frustrated or act out. It's really holistic. So you see, when security confiscates that water bottle, it's not just some isolated power trip. It's one tiny, visible piece of this massive, complex puzzle designed to keep everyone safe by anticipating and managing behavior on a huge scale.
Okay, so putting it all together for someone actually going to an event. When that security guard does take something off you, it's not random. It's part of this whole system we've been talking about. Can you walk us through what typically happens, like step by step, from when they spot an item to what happens next, especially if it's something actually illegal?
Absolutely. And Blackbird Security provides a good outline of how this usually works, making it feel less arbitrary. Often, it starts before you even get to the search point. Good events will have clear signs listing prohibited items while you're still in the queue. That gives you, the attendee, a chance to get rid of that extra water bottle or whatever before you hold up the line. It's actually a crowd management technique in itself.
Oh, right. So it's about efficiency, too, not just enforcement at the last second. Okay, so you get to the table, what then?
Exactly. So when you're at the station, the guard will ask for your consent to search your bag. That's standard procedure. If they spot something on the prohibited list and they know that list inside out, they'll ask you calmly to take it out. Then comes the explanation. They should clearly tell you why it's not allowed, answer your questions, and crucially use de-escalation. Keep it calm, explain the safety reason, give options. It shouldn't feel confrontational. And they should always tell you, look, if you really want to keep this item, you have the option to leave the event instead of giving it up.
Right. So if you're dead set on bringing in your giant inflatable banana, you might have to choose between the banana and the band.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Assuming it's not illegal, if you agree to give it up, you go through the rest of the check. The item itself then gets put somewhere secure, usually a locked box or container right there near the checkpoint.
Yeah.
But, and this is a big but if it's something illegal, like a serious weapon or drugs, the process changes immediately and significantly. Those items are taken aside straight away, handled carefully, and moved to a much more secure location within the venue to stop anyone getting hurt or trying to get it back.
And what's the follow-up then for the illegal stuff? Is it just, sorry, you can't come in, or does it go further?
Oh, it goes much further. For clearly illegal items, there are definite steps. The guard immediately radios their supervisor, and the police are called. No question. The person who brought the item will likely be detained, kept aside safely, until the police arrive for questioning. That whole process usually leads to formal charges, potential arrest, and absolutely definitely being denied entry to the event. And finally, for any illegal item found, there's always paperwork. A detailed report gets written up, what the item was, when it was found, who had it if possible, and exactly what actions were taken. For minor stuff, like confiscating a non-illegal sandwich, that level of reporting usually isn't needed. Keeps things moving.
That makes sense. And it raises a point. Clearly not all prohibited things are treated the same way. There must be different levels of response depending on what the item is.
Yes, exactly. It's a proportional response based on the risk. Blackbird Security talks about 3 main levels. First, just a warning. Maybe you've got cigarettes which are allowed in, but smoking inside isn't. So they let the cigarettes through, but give a clear warning. Don't smoke these inside. No confiscation, just setting expectations. Second level is a supervisor alert. This is for things that are maybe concerning, but not outright illegal, like maybe drug paraphernalia without any drugs found, or some kind of recording gear that breaks venue rules but isn't, a weapon. In that case, the guard flags their supervisor, and the supervisor makes the call. That could still mean denying entry, maybe confiscating, maybe just a very stern warning. It depends on the specifics.
And the third level, I guess, is where the police definitely get involved.
That's right. Level 3 is police intervention, reserved for the serious stuff. Guns, large knives, illegal drugs over a certain amount. Anything that poses a clear, immediate threat. That always means calling the police immediately, detaining the person safely until they arrive, and absolutely denying entry. The consequences there are legal, not just missing the show. So, yeah, it's a tiered system. The response fits the risk.
That is incredibly insightful. It really paints a much clearer picture. It highlights how much thought goes into every single measure, from taking away a water bottle, which seems small, right up to the massive logistical planning for crowd flow and emergencies. It's so clear that event safety isn't just one thing. It's this complex system where every piece matters. I feel like this deep dive has really helped sort of demystify the whole process, turn those rules from feeling arbitrary into understandable safety protocols. And understanding all this, well, it helps you as an attendee play a part in keeping events safer and more enjoyable for everyone, whether you're just going to have fun or maybe you're even involved in planning these things.
Absolutely. And if you think about the big picture, the whole point of all these rules, all this planning, the lists, the crowd management, the procedures, it's all designed to create a controlled environment, which seems like a contradiction. But that control, that predictability, is actually what allows everyone inside to have maximum freedom and fun safely. It's all that background work, the stuff you don't normally see, that makes those amazing, memorable event experiences possible in the first place. It builds the safe container for the fun to happen in.
That's a perfect way to put it. The framework that allows for freedom. So the next time you're heading into a big event, maybe take a second to think about all the layers of planning that go into it. You might see those security checks a little differently. We really hope this insight helps you navigate future events with a bit more understanding. Thanks so much for joining us on this deep dive today.